is Rizwan and you're watching the Indian Weekender. The COVID-19 lockdown has affected almost every business in the country. Some less, some more, but definitely all sectors of the market have taken a hit and on different scales. One such sector is or affected by this lockdown has been real estate market of New Zealand. Prior to start of the lockdown, some real estate branches even closed their doors temporarily and some working remotely. Today we are going to talk to Damien Taylor, the director of Safari Group of Companies in New Zealand. Safari Group of Companies is a building, construction and development group that takes up projects, buildings, houses, apartments, hotels and skyscrapers in New Zealand. Their project has expanded from Auckland to Rotorua, Wellington in the North Island and till Queenstown in the south. Hi Damien, how are you doing today?
Very good, Rizwan. Very good. Coming to you from a bubble.
I think congratulations are in order. You just had a baby during this lockdown. How was it?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's right. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, my lovely wife was able to deliver with some help of Auckland Hospital a baby boy. So we got two boys now. That was interesting times, obviously having a baby in and amongst the lockdown. So there was one point where I actually didn't think I was going to be there for the birth. I wasn't allowed into hospital initially, and then I got called once they realised the baby was coming. I was allowed to be there, and then I quickly got turfed out after the C-section while my wife and baby newborn were returned to the ward for a couple of nights. So then we got them back after that and reunited as a bigger bubble. So no, it's been exciting and I guess some light in amongst some dark and tough times, but yeah, it just puts things in perspective and we're over the moon apart from the lack of sleep at times.
Well, congratulations once again
Thank
to you and the Safari team to have a new baby in the house.
That's right.
So since this lockdown has started, in your experience, and you have been in this industry for a long time, how badly has real estate taken a hit during this time?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, you know, it's going to take a little while for things to sort of work through. The fundamentals of real estate within New Zealand, or, you know, if you look at key locations in Auckland and Wellington, the fundamentals haven't changed. There's still a massive shortage of supply, and that's even going to get worse because what you'll find is a lot of projects are now being shelved and pushed out, and that's just a pure funding equation. Obviously, you know, it was already hard to get them off the ground, so the supply is going to drop off. The demand is still there. There's still a shortage of houses for people to rent, to live in, and that's not going to change overnight. Less people now are obviously leaving the country. They can't leave the country, and a lot of Kiwis have returned home over this period. So I think from a real estate perspective, things, you know, aren't going to be, they're definitely impacted, don't get me wrong. As you touched on in your intro, every business has basically been affected throughout this, but I think real estate for the most part will hold up very, very well, and that's shown over the last you know, crises, and we've been through, you know, we were around in the GFC and that. So yeah, definitely impacted, but I'm very positive, and we've signed contracts over this period, and we've had settlements over this period. So things are still happening, and I think people are chomping at the bit to get back into business when the lockdown releases.
Do you think that this has affected the pricing of the houses? Is it going up or going down?
Yeah, again, a great question. I don't have all the answers to that. Time will tell. I was reading an interesting piece earlier, and the media, you know, they always portray the biggest drop. So you're going to hear some horror stories about houses that have gone down 20% in value over the next period, but that's not the reality of what's happening when you average things across the market. You know, I think in the GFC, the average price went down about 1% or something like that. So the drops are going to be small, if any. You know, to combat that, there is also the cost of funds are very cheap at the moment, as you'll be aware. The interest rates are at all-time lows, and they've just obviously been cut with the OCR. And property is held up really well against other investments. So when you look at shares and the volatility, so I think people will generally, and you know, New Zealanders have a love affair with property, bricks and mortar anyway. So yeah, I guess time will tell in the next 6 to 12 months. I can't see them dropping through the floor, I think it'll be a small correction and then it'll pick back up. It's just
Right.
uncertainty tends to slow things down. So what you'll
Yeah.
notice is the market might be a bit slower. And there'll be some deals out there, don't get me wrong, and some places, you know, where people are going to have to force to sell, of course, but for the most part, I'm positive.
Right. So in this lockdown, how has it been for your market, for Safari Group of companies? How is your project going on in this situation?
Yeah, well, obviously, as we talked about, you know, with our last live cross, we've got 3 projects under construction, so they've obviously come to a halt at the moment. Obviously, we can't. They weren't deemed to be essential work, so they couldn't continue through this period. But this period has allowed us to do a lot of planning, you know, from the site teams, and a lot of stuff that they hadn't been able to get to because they've been so busy on site. So they've actually been able to progress things quite well, as much as they can, without obviously the physical work. So we're confident now that we've got the green light to start on Tuesday, and those sites will be open again from Tuesday. There's no doubt we've lost some time through that, but it's pretty minimal. Again, being the builder developer as well, we can concentrate on what we can control, and there's no argument between the developing entity and the construction company, because it's one and the same. Whereas a lot of other projects, there'll be things they're still trying to work through on additional cost to the project and time and agreeing all of that. It is what it is. We just move forward. So hasn't really changed the dates of completion too much. We'll reforecast our program, but they might have pushed out, you know, a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks here. We'll make a week of that back. We're not going to make it all back. So we're still on track, and we've been, you know, as a company meeting a lot throughout this period. I guess spending a lot of time on Zoom, and it's brought us closer together in a way which is quite strange, given I guess you're so far removed. But yeah, some good things have come of it.
What other projects do you think which are going live and which are in the pipeline and will pick up in the next few weeks?
Yeah, so we have obviously, when we last talked, we had two projects that we were looking to develop at the completion of these 3, and that's still the case. It's just one of them in Queenstown. We're looking to push that out a little bit longer in terms of the start date, and that's just purely around Queenstown. It's obviously been the hardest hit. I mean, everyone's aware of tourism and how much that means to Queenstown. So that that trip, which we were hugely excited about, and we still are, but we just need a bit more time to understand where Queenstown's going and the recovery. So the recovery is going to happen. It's just a question of timing, and you've got to get that timing right. So we've pushed that project start date out a little bit, but Green Lane, another site that we're procuring, we're full steam ahead of that, and we're in fact trying to go faster to launch that to the market sooner rather than later, because we just think in that location in Green Lane, again, as I talked about, there's fundamental supply demand issues within Auckland, and it's just a no-brainer from our perspective. So we want to get that launched to the market, so Kesh will be able to talk about that soon. And we've looking to make a couple of small tweaks to our Wellington development, which is under construction, which I encourage investors to keep an eye out for that, because we're about to release something that I think I'm so excited about it, because I know people are going to jump over hot coals to grab them.
If we could talk about the investment opportunities with Safari Group, you have your signature product, one in Queenstown, you have Ramada over here. So what would you project about your investments if someone invests with you, especially with the Kiwi Indian community, so what are the investment opportunities do you have at Safari Group of companies?
So we've got at the moment, so the 3 projects that we've got under construction, our one in Queenstown, that's sold out. So there's nothing really there available. But there's obviously the Wellington one I alluded to earlier. That's been on the market only 6 or 7 months, and we're about 50-60% sold. But we are changing, making a couple of small tweaks, which there's going to be a slight new offering coming to the table, which I think I would encourage investors to look at that one. Give me a week or so, and then we'll be able to bring that one out. So Wellington is personally my favourite, because of there's so much government work in Wellington. it's the location of where our development is as well. And Wellington's such a tightly constrained city in any case, and there's such a shortage of land and opportunities there, which I talked about last time, because we were looking for so long to get into Wellington, and it's so incredibly hard. So that one there's residential units. There's a few left there, or there's some hotel, which so I would encourage investors to look at that first and foremost. We've also got, and that's for a little bit longer term, so that it's not going to be finished till sort of first quarter next year. So the landlord or the investor can get in now with a 10% deposit, and you don't have to settle till February, March next year, so you've got a bit of time. If an investor's looking to get on the board now and wants to have something that's ready to go, we've got Manukau and Victoria Street, which are complete and ready. Obviously, You came to our Victoria Street in the middle of town. What a fantastic location. We've only got a couple of units left there, residential units, and same at Manukau. We've got a few hotel units, which we're doing a special on, super special, lockdown special, come out of the lockdown. So that'll come out shortly. I think it's about 10 or 11% off, which we never discount those units. And there's a couple of residential units there as well. So best to have a chat to Kesh. It's about what what you feel fits you best if you're an investor, and what location you like. But personally, I think the Wellington one is the shining. I mean, they're all great, but the Wellington is really, really shining.
It's quite a promising area for investment.
Definitely, there's been huge growth in Wellington, and there's so much more to come as well. It's obviously our capital, and it's underpinned, as I talked to, with a lot of government work. So, and there's such a shortage of rental accommodation down there. So renting out your apartment, you won't have any problem, and the rent relative to purchase price is huge. So your yields are very good as well.
Let's talk about your sales suite team. The last 6 weeks back, when we had an interview at your office, you mentioned that the sales suite, which is being constructed below your office on the ground floor, is being done. So how far is it in completion? And tell us a little more about your internal sales team.
Yeah, exactly. It's again, very exciting. Part of our evolution, as we talked about 6 weeks ago, Rizwan. It was an evolution of our brand and getting our name and our product out there a bit more. Obviously, with Kesh coming on board, he's driving that as well, which has been fantastic, and getting into into some of these other markets which are untapped and people don't know about our products. So giving people opportunities like that to invest, we see as only a great thing. The sales suite is pretty much done. We've prioritized that. We're just working through a few things that are tricky, because there's a couple of contractors that under level 3 can't actually travel to do what they need to do. So we're just working around that. But Kesh is going to be in there within the next week or so. We're still trying to understand what we're allowed to do with that sales suite in terms of hosting evenings. Obviously, we can't at the moment, but when we change, that'll allow us to do that. Or I'm potentially looking at doing a webinar type evening from there, so I can do a Q&A or something like that. So we're just working through that. But the sales suite, once you get out of lockdown, people are going to want to come and visit, I'm sure. Also, I forgot to mention, on those 2 projects that are completed, we've got a protocol in place for people to be able to go and view those units without having to see anyone. So obviously, so you're not allowed to have open homes under level 3, but you can have viewings of real estate. So we've put a protocol in place, which obviously potential purchasers can turn up. They'll get the key off the reception of the hotel contact list. There'll be a set of gloves there for them to wear, and a map showing them where the room is. So this is all post-COVID, obviously, in the world we live in now. So purchasers can feel safe that they can go and inspect that without any risk to themselves as well.
That is an amazing way to encourage home buyers, especially first-time buyers and investors, to come and check out the projects that is actually going on. Do you have a tentative date when your sales suite can be opened?
It's going to be open. So I mean, hoping we're in the next stage for a couple of weeks, so it'll be open. It'll be ready to open for the public post that. So we're just planning it now, and so I would encourage people to reach out to Kesh and booking some time to come in and spend and have a look and come have a coffee with us from a distance. I'm sure we'll probably still be. Yeah, and that's in Victoria Street in the middle of town. Obviously, we created that development there, the Ramada Victoria, and it's the home of Safari House, which is where our office is, and the show suite. You've been there as well and had a look. So hopefully, all you people out there can come and have a look and learn a bit more about Safari and our product as well.
Your last message, could you list your team members, especially your team sales team, who, if the Kiwi Indian community wants to reach out to them, make an investment or make an inquiry or buy a house or apartment, who would be the best person to get in touch with and how?
Yep. So we've got a couple of sales specialists that are working for us. So Kesh and Lisa, depending on what language, they're both can speak multiple languages as well. So obviously their contact details will be up and we'll circulate them. So pick up the phone, have a chat to them. I know they've been ringing so many people throughout this lockdown period and just checking in on everyone and all their database and clients. And they'll be more than willing to help you guys out with any questions you have, any information they can send out. Everything we've got digitally anyway. So reach out to Kesh and Lisa. They're our gurus and they will be able to answer all your questions and hopefully can assist you in your investment pathway.
Thank you so much, Damien, for being with us, for telling us more about Safari Group of companies, their investment projects. And the viewers, if you need more information, you can go to safarigroup.co.nz, their website, follow their ads on our page as well. And you can get more information by contacting Kesh or Lisa. So thank you so much, Damien, for being with us and giving us this information. We will be in touch with you again as and when the new sales suites open up.
And I would just add, sorry, we do have another website, which is probably the better one to go to, which is www.propertyinvest.net.nz. And that's more focused on our sales and marketing, and it's got all the projects and so that's a great one for investors to go and check out as well.
Thank you so much, Damien, for your time, and
Thank
we will be in touch with you very soon.